Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the shed. Welcome to Monday. And you know what Monday means? It's Monday marathon time. I think this is episode 14 of our e-waste processing weekly video, where I get a lot of e-waste from the charity shop that they were going to basically take into the waste stream. And I get to save as much as I can, and I take you guys along with me. I wasn't planning on this being a really regular weekly series, but it's kind of worked out that way, and I'm a creature of habit and I do like routine, so we'll stick with it as long as we can. It's a nice little escape as well. And speaking of routine, with Christine's treatment now underway, first chemo under the belt, second one this Wednesday, all the flurry of major appointments seem to be out of the road, so we're now can settle into a routine of her treatment there. So if you've come to this channel from Christine's Health Affairs, thanks for coming along. You may have come from Christine's Home Affairs, which is her main channel, or you may have just been randomly browsing YouTube and this was suggested to you. Well, if you like scrapping, if you like saving stuff from going to landfill, if you like checking out e-waste and repairing electronics and even mechanics and fossicking through people's sheds and all sorts of stuff, we do a lot of that on this channel. Today, let's get into the pile of stuff we've got from the charity shop and see what we can save. Not such a huge pile this week, but you know, hopefully we can save a bit of it from going to the tip. This is heavy. I think this is a UPS, which is a, what's it stand for? An uninterrupted power supply for a computer. Looks like it is. So it's going to have some lead acid batteries in it. Chances are the batteries are probably going to be no good. I'm not sure. There might be a date on it. I don't know if it's got a secondary market if the batteries are okay. Maybe. But if nothing else, we'll be able to sell the batteries for some return. There'll be a power board in there with a couple of big copper coils or something on it as well. So that might be a scrapper, but I will check out to see if there's a date on it and see if we can get any value for it selling it as a complete unit. I think those things have a limited lifespan though because of the life of the batteries, and you're probably better off going to buy a new one. User manual and a USB cord. Oh, that's the same as like a printer cord. I get plenty of those. We'll probably just chop the plugs off for the electric wire there. I will keep the plastic bag. I reuse these Ziploc type bags all the time. And of course the instructions can go in the recycle bin. So very little going to rubbish, but we'll check that out and see if it might be actually saleable as a complete unit first. We'll get back to you on that one. Here we have novelty lights. Oh my goodness, look at these. It's like a Halloween type light display, little plastic, I guess they're ghosts, are they? Some of the globes are missing the plastic. In fact, I think they've been up for a while and they've gone a bit yellow in the sun. They're possibly quite brittle. They're certainly different colours. Yeah, they're definitely sun affected. So I think we'll probably group them with Christmas lights, which I don't bother scrapping because there's so little copper in them, and I don't try and sell them because even Christmas lights in good condition just don't sell. I don't know what's in here. There's one of the guys that's fallen off. They're a little too happy for my liking. Alright, so that went back on. And there's something else in this box. Is it an inflatable something? Or they're just stick? I think these were like transfers, stickers. They've been peeled off, so they're no good. They'll have to go in the bin. But we will put the lights back in the box. Actually, we'll test them, and if they work, I'll try and give them away. Someone might still get a little bit of use out of them. If they don't work, I will send them straight to e-waste, and we will recycle the cardboard box. Alright, so a few things to check there. These will have to go in the bin. Right, now, when I'm at the charity shop each week, I try and find something to buy, and just to flip is a little bit of a challenge to myself, see if I can make a profit. This tray, I'll try not to get the reflection straight at you from the light. Looks like I'm actually trying to do it. It's a chromed tray, 1960s era. It's made by Ranley. I think they're Australian made. The sticker's gone off this one. And they sell quite okay. This one's a little bit scuffed. Here we go this way. You might be able to see. There's quite a lot of scratching on it, but it's still very usable. It's got the little fences. They'll actually be chromed brass. And I think the actual plate that's over the masonite backing is possibly even brass as well. But I only paid $2 for it. I'm going to try and put, oh, well, I think I'll get 10 for it pretty easy through the shop. It's almost Art Deco. It's more 1960s, but chrome and these little fences are very typical of Art Deco stuff. So I reckon we'll turn $2 into 10 there, and I won't have to do anything to that. So that's good. And moving on to the big tub here, I think we've got some appliances. This looks like a hair dryer. Okay, a pink one, looks in good condition, and I had someone ask if I had any hair dryers just the other day at the shop, so it's fairly modern. It's got the sleeves on the pins, so that'll be certainly a saleable item if it tests out okay. So it should be a quick sale. We have, oh, what's in here? Kitchen appliance. This is some sort of hot plate, is it? Ambiano, I think that's a an Aldi brand. Oh yeah, it was a toasty maker and it's filthy dirty. Alright, I don't really fancy cleaning these things up. Hasn't lost any of the Teflon on the hot plates, so it might clean up okay. Very scuffed on top. So look, the difficulty with these things is they're so cheap to buy new that if I spend 20 minutes cleaning the thing up, I might still only get $5 for it. I'll have a bit of a think about that one. What's this one? Copper Pro? It's, this is equally as dirty. Is that some sort of pie maker? And I don't know why it's called a Copper Pro. I mean, that kind of looks copper coloured, but I'm sure that'll just be cast aluminium. I'll have to check out, yeah, I think that's just way too, oh, look at the oily grease on my fingers. I think that's way too dirty to sell. Too much effort to clean up. It's badly scratched and scuffed. And I think we actually, yeah, there's the whatever plating's on it's worn off. So that's going to be a scrapper. We'll get what little value we can out of that one, but that won't be sold. Okay, the biggest thing in the box is this blender. God, what is it? Everything's filthy. I wonder if it came from the same place. Hang on, I've got to wipe my hands. It's like, surely if you're going to donate something, you don't leave the last meal mostly in it or wiped all over the sides. That's disgusting. It's a multi-blender Sunbeam, so it's at least a good brand. It's been around for a while. The plastic jug's got a bit of crazing to it, although it doesn't look to have any cracks. So really it's just dirty. Being a Sunbeam, at least it's better than just a $5 item. As long as it works okay. Doesn't appear like there's anything missing. Of course, these blenders can develop a leak as well. How do we get it off there? Sometimes the seal goes in the bottom of the blender part and they'll leak, and once they do that, they're just not worth the time to fix. But this one, other than just looking dirty, this one looks okay, so we might have to clean that one up. We'll certainly give it a test first. I don't want to clean it up and then find it's got a leak. A little Optus portable modem. Is it? Whoa, it's now on the floor. Okay, it looks like it is what the box says. Don't know how old that is. Probably, it's the older style mini USB type plug, not the C one. At least I can sell those little chargers. I'll check that out. I don't know if it's going to have much value. There's certainly not much scrapping value in it. All right, we have what looks like an air type fitting, like for oxygen. So I guess we have an oxygen pump. So this is a smaller one than most of the ones you see. And they're like a little ventilator thing. Unlikely we're going to be able to sell that because it's not something you buy second hand. But the actual pump, if it works, may have other uses, like for aerating a fish tank or something. So we'll check that out. I'm not about to condemn that one just yet. Let's untangle these cords though. And these cords belong to, oh, I think they were from an electric blanket. They were. I haven't got the blanket, just the cord, so we'll just chop the plugs off that for a little bit of value from copper wire. Down in the bottom we have a little, I think that's a little clock radio. Anco, which is the Kmart brand. It was probably only $5 or $10 new. If it works fine, we might still get $5 for it. We'll test that one out. I have no idea. Oh, that's a little case with a USB type cable in it. And I don't know how to get into it. There we go. That might be for an Apple iPhone, maybe. I'll have to check that. The cable looks okay. I do have a box of USB cables at the shop for a couple of dollars each, and people do buy them, especially when they're on holidays and they've forgotten a charging cable. It's probably an older one, but we'll check it out. A little pencil case type pouch here with nothing in it, and that's quite dirty. That will have to go in the bin. I don't know how they ended up in the e-waste. That's all that's in this tub. So there we go. That's our haul for this week. I'll sort a few things out and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, I've done a bit of checking on all this clutter and I've made some decisions. Let's quickly go through them and then I'll have to get to work and do some cleaning up. I think I might have called this a vaporizer or something. It's a nebulizer. It's just basically an air pump. I think it'll have some value. I did look them up. They're still available, this sort, and they're about $140 new. I'm going to take the mask thing off because no one's going to want that secondhand. Leave the air line on it. I'll test it, make sure it works. We're going to put $10 on it and see what happens. As I said earlier, it might even be just handy for a fish pump aerator. But it's quite usable, and if someone buys a new mask, and as long as it works okay, then we should get our $10 easily. These two items I'm going to scrap out. The Ambiano toasty maker is a LD brand, and it's filthy dirty, and they're not very expensive new anyway. It's an older model. Going to scrap that. And the other thing, I think we're like a as seen on TV type double-sided grill, and they were boasting super fast cooking speeds because it's supposedly copper infused, but you know, I don't know, I think it was just copper coloured paint. I really think it's a bit of a gimmick. Not worth much even in good condition. That one's filthy. I'm going to scrap that. The blender is an older model, but I think it's worth cleaning up because it is a Sunbeam and I can't see any damage to it, so I'll give that a clean up. We might only get $10 for it, but I think we've got a chance of selling that. All these cords in the middle I'm going to scrap. The clock radio is still a current model. It's available in store for $19, so I'll just check that. We'll just put 5 on it. It should work. They hardly ever play up those things. The cord here I'm going to hang on to because it is an Apple or an iPhone or an iPod type charging cord. And as I'm getting vintage Apple phones, and I'm putting them aside because I think they're going to be, you know, collectible, the cords are going to be harder to get. So I'll hang on to that cord. This little Optus portable modem, I don't know when you would use something like this, but I did check online. They do sell, even secondhand, they were selling for $30 or $40 sometimes. There's no booklet with this one, I don't think. I'm just going to put $5 in that in the shop, untested. But I actually don't think it's been used. And the cord's still wrapped up like it was as a new one. So anyway, we'll try $5 there. This mermaid pink hairdryer is available through Harvey Norman in Australia. So it's kind of like a chain store type one, but it's better than your budget brands. They were still available new at about $110. So not a cheapie. I'm just going to clean the filter at the end there. Make sure it works okay. We'll put $10 on that. Should be a very quick sale. And this UPS is pretty modern. In fact, there's a date on the end of the box on the con note here that says 2024. So last year, February last year. They're still current as well. You can buy them through various sites online for around about the $100 marks. I saw some for $95 through maybe Kogan or somewhere. On eBay there was one new for $125. I'm going to charge that up. I did notice I pressed the power button before and the batteries have a little bit in them and then they go off. So the batteries are flat, but given that it's not very old, they should charge up, and I should be able to round up $20 odd for that pretty easily through the shop, given that it's got the books and the cord, and I don't know, maybe someone bought it and simply never used it, and it's not so old that the batteries will be no good. So we might get $20, $25 for that. We'll see how we go. And yeah, the lights over there are just going to go in the free box after I test them. Otherwise, they're going to go to Ewaste if they play up. So let's get into it. But we're going to get a bit of a return, hopefully. And this thing's still beeping at me. So it's still got some life in the old girl. Well, relatively young girl. Now that we've made some space on the bench, we can plug some things in and see if we get any smoke, flames, sparks, or explosions. I guess we don't really want them, but it would make good viewing, I suppose. So appliance tester on. There we go. They work fine. I think they all work. Oh no, yeah, well they do all work, but there's one globe that's still missing its little ghost. Anyway, they work fine. They're test safe. I didn't see any damage to the wiring. So they're just going to be a freebie at the shop. Hopefully someone can get a bit more joy out of them before they end up in the e-waste stream, where they probably will end up eventually, but yeah, I don't want to deal with those. So they are safe. I'll give them away, and someone can use them for a little bit longer before they get thrown out. You could probably even take the little ghost things off and just use them as Bud Lights. So they may have a reasonably long life yet. So we'll put them back in the box, and I'm sure someone will grab them for free, even though it's a way off Halloween. It might just be nice to have some spooky lights in your kids' room. All right, let's plug this hairdryer in. Now, it has got some scratching to the handle, but it's actually pretty good otherwise. The cord's good. I've had a look at that. It has got one of these warning labels that's coming off. We'll remove that. It says ridiculous things like do not use in the bath. I mean, does anyone ever try and use a hairdryer in the bath? All right, let's plug it in. And we've got no metal at all. It's all plastic, so we can't attach our earth probe. It looks like it passes. Let's see if it works. That's just cold air. Oh, there's the switch. There we go. So that's on warm. Sounds okay. And that is a hold-in button that turns it to cold. Oh, that ranges through the speeds. Okay. Works fine. No issues at all. I'm just going to clean that back filter. I think it just comes off. And, oh, there's the filter in there. It's only a really fine piece of very coarse mesh to stop obvious dust getting through and hair, I presume. You don't want hair getting in around the fan. There's another screen there as well. We'll just clean this off. It should just brush off. And give it a bit of a wipe over. It's got a few dirty spots on it, but otherwise it's okay other than these scratchings. And we'll just put $10 on that. Next item to test is this little clock radio. As I said, I'm only going to try and get $5 for this one if it works perfectly. So let's power it up. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work fine. That's actually a good clock to see. Oh, you probably got reflection there, have you? Nice numbers, easy to read. What have we got? AM, FM radio. There we go, that's going to work fine. Remembering we get a lot of interference in this shed from the ring light and other switch mode power supplies, so I'm not going to try and tune in the station, but I'm sure that works. We have AM as well. Oh, that's FM, the other one was AM. That's going to work fine as well, and the clock appears to work. Have a snooze function, have a dimming, everything works fine. All right, we'll just go $5 on that. I'm sure someone will grab it for that. What were they new? $19, I think. And this one pretty well looks as new. So I'll give that a quick wipe over. No worries there. Hopefully a quick sale. Next, we'll try this nebulizer or air pump. It did have the cord. This cord was tangled up with the electric blanket cord, so luckily I didn't chop the plugs off it. All right. Now, this isn't damaged at all. It's a little bit grubby, but it looks fine. Otherwise, there is a little filter in here, which I did check. It wasn't blocked or anything. So let's plug this in and see if it works. And there's an on-off switch at the back somewhere. There we go. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds like a new one. Do we have air coming out? I just chopped that face mask off there, and that's working fine. You can hear that next to the microphone. Very good. Okay, that's a perfectly operational air pump. It tests safe. We have no metal on it at all, so we can't use the earth probe. Where's the switch gone? There it is. Okay, I'll just give that a wipe over. We'll try $10 on it. It could be used, I don't know if they generate a lot of pressure. Maybe you could blow up a bicycle tyre with it. It might be too much air for a fish tank for aeration, I don't know. But it would certainly still work as a nebulizer if you just buy a new clean face mask. I think you'll be good to go. All right, let's clean that up and get that ready. So the only other thing we have to test is the Sunbeam multi-blender. The UPS is actually on power here, charging the batteries, and it feels like it's getting warm, so I think the batteries are going to charge up great. We'll check that out. It needs about 6 hours to charge. I'll leave it on for a while before we have a look. So let's see if this blender works. It does have a lock-in handle and safety switch before it'll power on. Let's turn the appliance tester on for a start and make sure it actually doesn't go without the jug on there. Okay, let's put the jug on and lock it into position. Now it should work. No, is there a main switch pulse? Nothing's working. Okay, it doesn't go. I would suggest that the safety switch probably is not connecting properly. We do have power onto it. Yes, this is quite sticky, so if there was going to be any other fault with it, or maybe the lid needs to be down properly. I don't think the lid operates as a safety switch though, but let's lock it down in case it does. Oh, maybe there is a switch through the handle. There is too. There must be some linkage down through the handle. All right, so that pulses. Sounds okay. A little bit of a rattle, but maybe that's how it's normally supposed to sound. Okay, we only have 2 speeds. It does smell a little hot, you know, that hot sort of slightly burning smell. Maybe it just hasn't been used for a while. Okay, that does smell like it's arcing in the motor, or you know, the brushes might be making a bit of smell. Maybe it's got some dirt and juice or whatever down into the motor. I'm not comfortable selling that, even though I think it's safe and it tests safe on my machine. It's certainly got a smell to it that would worry you if you turned on an appliance at home. And I don't think it's going to clear easily. I certainly can't do anything other than pulling the whole thing apart. It's not worth that, given that I have to clean it up anyway. It's quite sticky. So, unfortunately, let's turn that off. I don't think I'm going to sell this one. I think it's just not worth it. And we still don't even know if that seal leaks, because I would have to put a liquid water or something in the jug to check that. But I suspect it may have leaked. It's a little bit gungy in there. It might have got some gunk down into the motor. But it's just a bit too far gone as far as looking very secondhand and dirty. It's also scratched. It's not going to clean it off. All right, I've convinced myself that it's not worth it. It would take a lot to clean it up just to get our $10 anyway. And as I said right at the start, in certain lights, the jug does look a little crazed, like it's got internal fractures. I don't think it's cracked, but it is quite an older unit. And we can see from the plug, it doesn't have the sleeves on the plug, so it is probably over 20 years old. It looks like it's done a bit of work. All right, that's going to be another scrap item then. We have 3 things to scrap out. I guess I won't film it because it'll take too long, but I'll just pull them apart and I'll show you what I'm going to get out of them. It won't be a lot of value, but at least we can salvage something rather than sending it all out to e-waste. The jug, I don't think will have a market, so that can just go in the e-waste crates as it is. But we might as well get the electric motor out of this. It's got a bit of weight to it. We'll scrap the other things as well, and I'll show you what I get out of them. So I decided to film the scrap out process, and then I sped it up to 10 times the actual time it took. But it really didn't take long. I think the video clip on doing this was 10 minutes for 3 items. It doesn't take long, and it is kind of fun pulling things apart. It's much more enjoyable, you know, pulling things apart when you know you don't have to put them back together. And salvaging some little bits and pieces, well, I often save switches and all sorts of things, especially out of something like a microwave. You get a lot of micro switches. You get all sorts of components that are either resaleable or you can use them. And in this case, because these were so dirty, I only kept the basics and the wiring, and we'll go after that cast aluminium another time. But yeah, it was worth doing. It didn't take long to scrap out. As I said, only about 10 minutes in normal time to do these 3. It's also a great time when you're scrapping out things is to have some other your favourite YouTubers' videos going in the background, and you can keep an eye on them while you're actually being productive. So with the scrapping done, and as you can see, it didn't take long. Even at normal speed, it didn't take long. I'm left with a few bits. I'm going to try and see if I can sell some of this insulation board. I do get a lot of it out of various things, and it's usually nice and clean. And it does have uses for heat-proofing wiring, and maybe it'd even work as shielding. Don't know. I'm going to put some in a box at the shop, just a small tray, and see if I can sell it. It'll be probably $5 a lot. And you could probably buy it cheaper than that new, but it's a matter of convenience. If someone just spots a whole pile of it for $5 and I think, well, that might be handy in the shed, I might just take that home. Sometimes you make sales. So see how that goes. I haven't done that before. I do save any of this clean wire shielding insulation stuff that helps again to protect wiring from heat. And I put that in a jar, and I have sold jar lots of that before. It's a fairly big jar, and obviously, again, you could probably buy it a lot cheaper new, but they're all different sizes. It's more of a selection, like a handyman's kit, just to have in the shed at home, and people buy it. Any hardware that's clean and usable and not damaged, I will sell. I keep the thermal fuses, but I did throw one of the thermal fuses out into the e-waste bucket here because it's just so grimy. They're very dirty machines, these two. Kept a fair bit of wiring, got a decent electric motor out of the blender, which I said would be a pretty easy one, and that was really easy to get into. The casings can go to e-waste just like that. I've left little bits on them. The heating elements themselves, you can see that this supposedly copper one is certainly just a cast aluminium. They still have the elements in. I could sell them as irony aluminium. If I was going to do that, I wouldn't have taken all the little screws out. I would have just snipped the wires and left everything still on there. But I've got a way of taking these elements out pretty quickly, and I'll do a video on that at some stage. But these are just pressed in, and if you can get the elements out quickly, the cast aluminium is worth a lot more. Even though they don't weigh a lot, whoops, especially these ones, for as large as they are, they're very light, and they can sell as clean cast aluminium even though they've got the Teflon coating, and even though they've got the remains of someone's toasty in there. But I do need to get the heating element out. So I'll put them aside and do a video on that soon. So there we go. That's all I'm going to save out of these scrap outs. Not a lot of value, probably only a couple of dollars maybe. But it didn't take long to do. And the casings I'll just send out with the jug to the e-waste crates at the transfer station. And with this UPS, I've been charging it up for a while. The actual cabinet has got fairly warm. I know the batteries have charged up, and it seems to be working fine. It's not fully charged yet, but it seems to be okay. And given that it's under 2 years old, it even has a 3-year warranty. And I did read that the batteries are easy to replace if you need to. So the unit's fine. So what, about $100 retail to buy? I'm going to put $20 on this in the shop. I'll continue to charge it. It should get to fully charged later today, and we should sell it quickly at $20. So here's our spoils for this week. Not the dog, Coco lives here. We have all this sort of stuff to sell. I will keep those. Oh, well, one of the cords I might just put in my $1 or $2 USB cords box. I'll keep that one. The rest of the stuff I'll sell, and we'll look at the notepad shortly for that. Of course, our tray to flip. We have some scrap metal that we can get some value back out of. The cast aluminium, the wire, the electric motor. Only a really small amount of stuff going in the actual rubbish bin, and 1 tub of stuff to go to e-waste. So a little bit more than I normally get, but as you saw, the stuff was very dirty and we really didn't have a choice. But we've got some stuff to sell, so that's pretty cool. The notepad for this week looks like this. We have $20, $30, $40, $50 back on what we could save of the electrical appliances, and we have $10 potential return from our tray, which should be pretty easy to achieve. So $60 back. Not bad from a small group of stuff, plus we've got a bit of scrap metal and a little bit of hardware. Let's have a look at the previous week. We had a really good run of selling stuff 1 weekend out, and we've sold the slow cooker bowl and the lid, and someone grabbed that as a pet's water bowl. So, and incidentally, I found another one during the week and sold that the same day as well. The sander sold pretty quickly. The hair straightening brush sold. Interestingly, I had messages on these two and the people didn't come back, and that was almost first things to get some response, because I do put ads on local Facebook groups for this stuff. The torches all sold, including the one we put in the $1 box, and the car fridge box sold as well. So we've done really well out of that. No takers on that depression glass vase as yet. A quick look back to part 12, and we still have the pancake maker, so that will probably be down to $5 for next week. But we've sold a bit of the other stuff. The little Anko touch lamp's still there. The nice timber lamp, I'm going to keep that separate because I don't need to discount that. It's a really nice retro timber lamp. So no need to discount that. The halogen lamp's still there. And the DeLonghi coffee machine, I may have mentioned in the last video that, yeah, a subscriber came up to get that Freedom Fighter and he's very happy with it, and hopefully he can fix it up. And the heater, yeah, I did scrap that out. I think I did mention that. Back to part 11, we still have a couple of items there. The ceiling lamps I will definitely drop down to $5 each because they need to go. They're too bulky, they're modern, I don't want them in the shop. These other couple of items, we might drop down to $2 each then to see if we can move them, and that will pretty well clean up this episode. And episode 10, I think we can rule a line through now. We've just got a mouse which is over in the tech corner of my shop. It's not out front on special. We even sold that Mulinex coffee grinder. I think I may have mentioned that as well. Everything else is gone. The Cambrook temp control is actually still on eBay. No takers on that at the moment. And I'm not worried about these nice things. They can stay in the shop. So I think we can rule that one off. And all previous episodes have already been ruled out. So we're getting through them and we're clearing up old stock, which is awesome. And very few things are making it to the free wheelbarrow. Now that sounds weird. I don't have a wheelbarrow for free, but I have a wheelbarrow that I've got a sign on it that says tested electrical items free, because after they get discounted down to half price for a week or two, if they're still there, they become free items, and I'd rather give them away than throw them out. Sometimes we've had a couple of items actually broken. They've been accidentally dropped. The moment that happens, I scrap them out and salvage, the cords or whatever I can. But I'd rather give an operational item away than scrap it just for the sake of a 20-cent cord or something like that. So very few things actually make it to the free wheelbarrow. So usually half price sees them all sell. Of course, they're cheap enough in the first place. And that's really a good little system. It seems to be working well for me. So thanks for watching this series. I'll continue to do them while I find time. I've certainly got no shortage of e-waste coming in. There seems to be a pile at the charity shop every week. And we'll keep doing it. I hope you keep watching it. Thanks for coming along. Bye for now.